It's a breathtaking structure that can be seen from all parts of Leominster, Massachusetts and the surrounding central Mass towns. St. Cecilia's Church, the cathedral built over the course of 50 years throughout the 20th century, is the handiwork of a parish that was founded to be a home for the French-speaking Catholics of Leominster in 1900. In the century since its inception, St. Cecilia's, through its adjoining school building and work in the community, has become a staple of the town's rich and enduring history. Yet, a darker chapter of this community's tale has perhaps been too often left unexplored.
The Franco-Americans are descendants of the Quebecois and the Acadians who came down to work in the mills and the textile industries of New England, particularly in Lowell, Massachusetts. Leominster had the plastic factories, and especially from the Beauce region of Quebec, where many of the Quebecers were coming down. They weren't intending to stay. They were planning on going back and forth to commute and try to save their farms. These families were getting so large, and then the farms were failing because of climate conditions, and the soil wasn't necessarily good, and they were so dirt poor that's when they started to come down, flood into New England to work in the factories to make the money.
In many parts of New England, a sinister resistance, feared for decades in the American South but little known to New England, rose to meet the influx of French-Canadian settlers.
The Klan was revived during the First World War, and it was in a very different sociological situation. The target of that second Klan was Catholics, Jews, and secondarily blacks and other people of color. It was an anti-immigrant nativist movement. What these people were trying to do was protect the quote-unquote bloodlines of the United States. They were very concerned about the immigrants coming over and polluting these white Anglo-Saxon Protestant bloodlines and diluting the strength of the country.
The white Anglo-Saxon Protestants were nervous with French Quebecers that were coming down because they weren't planning on staying. They would often cross picket lines to work for the lowest wages. They were Catholic, they weren't assimilating, they were keeping their language, and they weren't becoming American.
Though shockingly large in membership, not every citizen of Leominster or other areas containing chapters were sympathizers of the infamous Klan. Many stood in firm opposition to this brotherhood of outspoken hatred. Clashes ensued.
The Catholics in the region, including Franco-Americans, Irish, and Polish Catholics, banded together. They found out where the Klan was going to burn a cross. They went there and surrounded them and just pelted them with rocks and bottles and whatever they had. It was like a gang fight between the Klan and anti-Klan forces.
Through the rising tensions and bitter political divisiveness, the school days went on in peace for the young parishioners of St. Cecilia's Church. 6 days a week they would file into the little schoolhouse building that today stands adjacent to its neighboring Catholic tower and hosts bingo on Friday nights. And then came the moment when the conflict between the Franco-Americans and the parties trying to Americanize them reached an unacceptable boiling point. Sometime in the early morning hours of January 27, 1925, the school at St. Cecilia's was set ablaze. A fearsome fire that shot straight up through the roof caused $150,000 worth of damage before it was conquered, injuring 5 Leominster firefighters in the process. 1,000 French-speaking Catholic pupils were left without a place to attend school, and worse yet, it was widely rumored that this whole gruesome ordeal was mission accomplished for the henchmen of the Ku Klux Klan. St. Cecilia's bounced back, the school was rebuilt, and the magnificent stone church added shortly thereafter. Franco-Americans formed human shields around other parishes in the area to prevent them from meeting the same hateful fate. Good prevailed over evil, and by the early 1930s, activity of the Second Klan had died down. Still, in a world so different from 1925 and yet so much the same, this one is an important story to tell.
The KKK in parts of areas of Gardner, Fitchburg, Leominster, Shirley were having group meetings. And St. Cecilia's was not the first parish school to have been burned to the ground, but was one of the most significant.
Once that language, once you intimidate or browbeat children out of speaking their language, it's lost forever. The way I feel about it is, if I don't recover this identity, then the Ku Klux Klan and the nativists and those people who oppose the Franco-Americans won. If I just cave in and I say, okay, I'm not going to speak French, and I'm just going to identify as a regular old American, and I'm not going to know anything about my history or heritage, then those people win. And they can do that to someone else. They'll keep doing it. They'll do it. They're doing it to the Hispanics now. They're doing it to, Muslim Americans who are loyal Americans. They'll do it to other people, and they'll get away with it because it worked with the Franco-Americans. So I don't want it to work.